Yeah, recording is started. Now, today we are going to learn Introduction to SDK. The SAP SDK is a software package provided by SAP. SAP SDK demo kit is the means it is a it's like a kit. It's a software development kit where you have all the related SAP UI5 related things where you can use it as a learning and means you can also learn the SAP UI5 directly there in the SAP SDK itself. It also contains all the UI controls that you can use in your SAP UI5 application. Okay, it's a means if you have the SDK, you can learn the SAP UI5 by on your own. Okay, you need to understand how that SDK works, where to use, why to use, and all those things. Okay, this if you see here, the kit typically contains the documentation for every UI control. There is some documentation and a sample code. I have already shown how to see the sample code, and you
Yes,
have many
yes,
tutorials, pre-built applications. See, even you have also some sample applications where you can preview like how you can develop an application. Developer can use it and gain hands-on experience, learn best practices. You can also learn the best practices. Best practices means what are all the rules that you need to follow while you are developing, what are the best practices. Okay, and accelerate development with SAP technologies. By learning this, by using this SDK, you can accelerate your development. Which means you can reduce your development time instead of writing each and every line of code. Okay, I have provided here the link to SAP SDK demo kit, or simply if you type this on Google, you can get the first link, which is the link to SAP SDK demo kit. Now I'm opening this link.
this is same thing what you have shown last class,
Yeah,
Alish.
yeah, yeah.
SAP
No, no, no.
demo
Last
toolkit.
last class, I don't think so. I have shown this because we have already crossed time that day. Maybe I have shown. Yeah, I shown this, but I am not sure whether I have given intro to SDK or not. Okay.
Correct, correct, correct.
Hmm. See, here you have the documentation, API reference, samples, demo apps. Means there are some already demo apps provided by SAP which are built using SAP UI5. Okay, if you open these demo apps, you have already see, if you look here, you have the shopping cart app. You have the browse orders. You have the team calendar. These are many apps which are provided by SAP for you to just for demo purpose. See, this is the app created using SAP UI5.
Correct.
Okay, if you
I
click
gone
here,
through
it
this
will
page.
show. Yeah, means here this is the one-stop solution for all the SAP UI5 apps. This is the place called SAP SDK Demo Kit. Again, this is not included in your curriculum, in your course content, but I have included this because you need to know how this
Yes,
SDK works. Okay.
correct,
Uh,
correct.
Next, we'll see. Sorry. Next, this is API references of UI controls. See, we have this API reference. For every UI control, if you open this API reference, let us assume you want to know what is input field. Okay, you know what is input? Input
Where user
field.
enter the where
Again,
user enter
we can
the
call this is also one input field. Okay, so now you
correct.
want to know what is input, how it works, what are all the properties and methods, associations, aggregations associated with it. You can simply type here input. Okay, this is the input. Again, it is related to which library? SAP. In SAP it has M library. Inside the M library you have this input control. Okay, again with the input you have many other things also, like mask input, multi input, step input. There are many different types of inputs. Okay, but we'll see what is this basic input one. Okay, I'm opening this input one. Overview. See, if you see the overview, it describes what is the input, how it works, what is how it looks and all. Okay, allows the user to enter and edit the text on or numeric values in one line. Okay, by this line you can easily understand what is input. It's in simple language. Okay,
Yes.
in overview you can enable the auto completion suggestion feature, and see these are all the things related to overview only. Guidelines, structure. See, it is telling that you can editable or make it as or readable only. You can enable, disable, you can placeholder means, see, if you remove here you can see one filter, right? That is called placeholder.
Yes.
Text direction, if you want to start from left to right or right to left, that is also possible. Value state means, suppose if you are entering an incorrect, see, when you press enter here, the border is becoming blue, and when I click somewhere the border is vanishing. That is the value state. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
like this you have many things, but first we'll come to fields. Fields, see, these are not required fields. Constructor, the main focus is on properties. Okay, first we'll go to properties. Okay, properties is nothing but, suppose you for input, for this input you have this many properties. What we'll do is, let's we'll by when we are using, you will understand. So what we'll do is, we'll create an input field and we'll add each and every property to it. Okay,
How
I'm
did you
opening
reach the screen?
using the instances and subscriptions. You have already subscribed to Business Application Studio, right?
Yes.
Then if you see, if you go to instances and subscriptions, whatever the
Okay.
subscriptions that you have done, it will show automatically here. When you click on it link, it will automatically open. Then you need to start your BAS. Right now,
Okay.
we'll you have, see, constructor, properties, associations, aggregations, events, methods. Now we'll see what are the properties. What is a property? What is the property for a UI control is autocomplete equal to true. See, here these are the different types of properties. Here you have the name of the property and what is the value that it accepts. They are telling that it accepts boolean value, and by default, if you didn't use this property, by default it in the background it takes it as, even though if you didn't give that property, they'll think that you are giving autocomplete as true. Here you have the description. What is the values of this property? It is mentioned here. Specifies whether autocomplete is enabled. Works only if show suggestion property is set to true. Note, the autocomplete feature is disabled on Android devices due to iOS specific issue. Okay, what autocomplete is does means, specifies whether autocomplete is enabled. Works only if show suggestion property is set to true. Okay, even I don't understand what the description is, but you using this you can understand. See, this blocked whether the control is in blocked state. Blocked state means you can't change anything in that field, but this is deprecated as of version 1.69. In the as we are on the latest version 1.113, you can't use this version because you can't use this property because it's deprecated. If you see any other properties, date format means it will allow you to put only date, that too in this format. If you give this if you give this property to that input field, you can't enter the date in any other format, or you can't enter any alphabets also. And this is also deprecated in the version 1.9.1. Description, the description is a text after the input field. Suppose if you want to give a description after the input field, that you can give editable, this is also boolean. If you give editable as false, by default it will be true. If you don't want the user to edit it, then you can set editable equal to false. It means the user cannot edit that value. Okay, let's see, it's running. Now we'll use these properties, and now you will understand why we are using. As I have already told, for every UI control, what is the property that is must? One property it should have always. What is that property? If you remember, can you tell me, Rajiv?
Can you repeat your question, Harish?
Yeah, for every input, for every UI control, I told that one property is very essential. Otherwise, your yes, your business application studio itself give you the error. What is it? I am declaring the input. Okay, input. Okay, I am declaring the input. I am closing the input. Okay, see, I have opened the input. I have closed the input. Still, I didn't do any wrong here. But why it is giving me the error? I want to know that. Can you explain?
I can't remember, Harish.
Uh, okay, it's okay. For every input, ID is the must.
The ID is a unique reference ID,
Yeah,
reference
yeah.
field.
It is also a property. Okay, ID. We can give any input, any value. You can give any name to this, but it should be unique. If you have used already this input, you can't use it again. Okay, this is the
Correct.
essential property. Even if you didn't give, this will work. But it is important to give the ID for any UI element. Okay, now we have created the input. So what I'll do is I'll preview the application. I want to run without Fury Launchpad. See, you can see there is one input created. Okay, now what we'll do is um, now I want to give editable. See, now if you see, you can enter anything. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll give
Drop.
this editable property to it.
Okay.
Editable equal to, okay, let it be. But before I do this, I told which library this input is belong to. sap.m.
SAP.in.
Okay, did we declare that library in our XML code?
I don't think so.
Okay, see, here we have already, it's a sample code now. That's why it's automatically came. If you didn't give anything, if you see, here you have the XMLNS double quotes MVC, means
What is
you are calling this library with the shortcut called MVC.
correct?
Okay, but here you
Yeah.
don't have any name. Suppose if you are declaring any other library, let us assume XMLNS is to, suppose I am giving any library sap.f. Okay, suppose this is again one library. Okay, sorry. Okay, this is another library, but here it is giving error because you have already declared XML and S is called, see, if you put here M, means you are calling SAP library, sap.m library with M. Okay,
Yeah.
now if you
Then switch.
didn't give this, it's telling that you are calling the empty, you are naming one empty library with sap m, but here you have two. You are calling empty with sap.f as empty, sap.m as empty, which is wrong because you have already utilized the empty value with sap.m. If you want to declare sap xmlns is to sap.f, then you need to put this and you need to give any other alphabet, or you can give any other name like this.
So, so this library,
Means as you are
how
calling
it started.
sap.f library with the alphabet f. Here you are declaring sap.ui.core mvc library with mvc, but here
Correct.
you don't sap.m, here you don't have anything, means it means empty library, it will automatically points to sap.m. Means if you didn't give here anything, suppose if you give here as a xml and s is to m. Okay, I am removing this, and this page also belongs to which library? sap.m library. That's why it is throwing error, because it unable to understand which service it will choose. It needs to choose either MVC or M. So that's the reason it's confused and it's giving you the error. You know that page is related to sap.m library, but computer doesn't know. So we need to tell that you please use M library. So we need to, before page you need to put like this. Okay, wherever you are using sap.m, then you need to put like this. Okay, then the error will vanish once you give for everyone.
So
See,
M
now
here
now the error
referencing
is,
SAP library.
now the error is vanished, right?
Yeah.
Because you give here m, here we need to put m everywhere. Suppose if I remove m, means we are calling empty library as m. So I'm right now, we are putting like this only, we don't want to use m. Okay, now you understood, right, how to declare the libraries?
Yes.
That is the important one. Okay, so now we are given editable. Editable means what? Editable field will do, it will either allow the user to edit enter any value or not,
Modify.
based on the property that we set. Okay, if you didn't give anything, it will automatically, suppose if you didn't mention anything like this, it will, the editable property is automatically true. Okay,
Okay. Default true.
editable equal to, suppose if I want to make it non-editable, then I need to explicitly mention property, and then I need to mention editable as false. If you see, for the editable you have boolean means you can use either true or false. By default it is true. If you don't want, if you don't want to make it uh, non-editable, then you don't need to mention this property. If you don't want the user to edit it, then you need to explicitly mention this editable, and you
False.
can mention false. Right now I have mentioned editable equal to false. Why this error still? The content name. Okay, see here I have mentioned the library, but I didn't use.
No, that's what I was confused. Over there, M was still standby, and you
Yeah,
removing the each.
see now you will see an input field, but you
You can't.
can't enter any value. See, if I place the my my placeholder here, but still I am unable to enter anything. If I enter anything also, it's not coming, because you have set this property editable equal to false. Right now I don't want my field to be non-editable, that's why I'm closing this. Okay, okay, we'll see about the next one. Enabled is also works like same editable only. You can see all these things. Okay, you can when you are working with that exercise that I have given, you can use all these simple things. Okay, what I'll do
Enable
is
means
now.
that section
Mhm.
section should be display or not, right? Enable means section should be display or not, correct?
Yeah, enabled is also like that only, editable only. Enabled means see, editable means you can see the field, but you can't enter anything. Enabled means, see, you can see the difference between enabled and editable. Enabled equal to false. False means you can't enable, means the it's like a even you can't edit any value, but at the same time it's like
No,
why
that
you
section
can't.
itself you can't see. No, enable mean it refer to section. Editable mean particular field. So
But
that
visible
particular
is that
section,
one, but I don't know why it's okay, let it be.
if,
This is not.
if it's true, then that will show.
True, that will show. See, enabled and editable works like same only, but
Correct.
visible means the visible means the input field doesn't show. But I don't know why it's not working here.
No,
Let's see another.
it library vary. Visible mean visible. None mean it will hide.
Visible. See, if you give visible equal to true, by default the visible equal to true only. If you give visible
Correct.
equal to false, you can't see the input
Correct.
UI
Hidden.
control on the page itself. But
It's hidden.
enabled is different. But see, enabled is different means in editable you are seeing this border, na?
Correct.
In editable.
Yeah.
Then in case of enabled, you will not even see this border also. You can see
Yeah.
the input field, but this border not visible. Okay, that is
Yeah.
enabled. If you remove this border, this input will automatically mixed with our screen. That's the reason we are thinking that we are unable to see the input.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Max length, see again you have this property. Max length means it accepts the value integer. Integer means suppose you don't want allow the user to enter the max length which is above 10, so you can give that. If you give max length equal to 10, then it will not allow the user to enter the value above
Beyond
10.
that. Yeah.
Suppose if I enter my name which is very big, but it will not allow the max characters 10. Even you can, even if you enter the space, that also it will take as one character. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. If I enter next value, it will not take. See, I'm entering but it's not taking because the max length is reached. Okay, like this you need to use all these properties. Suppose I want, see, if you see the width is very large, you don't want this much width, you don't you want this much only. Input field is very big, now you want to decrease it. You can simply use, there is one property called, see again this placeholder is there. Placeholder is nothing but you can give some value here, like you can mention please enter your name. Okay,
Placeholder
now,
is a tooltip.
yeah, it's like a tooltip. It will give you a tip what need to enter in this field. Okay, but you can't change that value. It's just for
Okay.
the visible purpose only. You once you enter, it will vanish. Okay, it's
Okay.
giving you hint what need to you enter.
Very
Okay,
good. This is good actually for
yeah,
user perspective.
like this you have all the properties where will serve you all your business needs. Okay,
Okay.
see value means suppose by default you want to show any value, you can do that. Value equal to, I want to give my name. On the load itself, it will show my name. See, I didn't enter. But just because I given here value equal to Harish, it's automatically showing up here. Okay.
But
Now,
this is hard coding. What you are showing,
this
correct?
is hard coded by, if, means if you have the backend connection, we can directly displace some data based on. You will learn that in the when we are going deeper. Okay.
Where can I see the drop list, pick list?
Yeah, means that is the that's what I given you the exercise, na. Uh,
Uh, okay.
UI control, about UI controls. See, you here you have the width. If you give the width, how much width you want, you can give the percentage, you can give rem, you can give em. Okay, I'm giving as 30%, means it will take the screen as 100%. On that 100%, it will take those 30% and it will give. Okay, now it will see this is the 30%. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go to the next one. Um, See, it is 30%. Like this, you have many properties. You can go through each and every property whenever you get time. Okay, like whenever you get you want to use the input, uh, read about all the properties, and
Mm.
then you can in the situation you can understand which property you can use. Okay.
So basically, when we receive a functional specification document from the
Hmm.
functional
Yeah.
consultant,
Then you need to
what are
see
what
if they are
exactly?
saying you they want one field to be non-editable, then you need to by default you can understand, means you should automatically come in mind that, and you need to tell to the functional consultant that no, it's not possible, that you are in you should be in a situation to say that directly without suppose if you say them that yeah it's possible, but when you come to SDK and you don't find any property for that particular UI element, then they think that you don't know anything. So you should be thorough about the SDK.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's why I given that exercise. If you next one is the associations. Association is, it's like a relationship between two
Correct.
UI controls.
Correct.
Okay, UI control means, suppose you have UI control means input. This is this input is one UI control. And if you want to have more association, suppose if you want to add some more thing, if you go to the associations, it will show what is the what are all the associations it have. Selected item means you can have this selected item.
Yeah. Basically, parent-child, I would say.
Not parent child. Parent child, again, it's called as aggregation. Here this is association means other than, see, um, here you have the
Parent-child.
page content. This is parent and this is child. Without page you can't have the content, right? Means without father child can't exist.
Yeah.
This is the child, this is the
Correct.
page. These two
Yeah.
UI elements has
Parent-child.
parent child relationship, which is called as aggregation. But what is association? Association is also a relation, but it's not like a parent child relation. Associate means here you have the association as selected items, selected
Mm.
item, which means that it's not a parent child relationship. Selected item can be yeah, it can be independent, it's not dependent on parent. Okay.
Yes. Allowed items, basically.
Yeah, means you can use no, it's not related to only one particular, it's related to many things. That's the reason it is associated with it's not only associate, it's not dependent on anything. It has a relationship between the UI control, but not a parent child relation. Okay.
So there is a type. There is a type column in the previous screen. So you see
which
type
which
SAP.UI core item, SAP.M column list item. You see the type.
Yeah, yeah.
So
See,
there is a
this is
differences type.
also see, this is related to which um see
UI core.
before, this is core library, but before this, if you press here item, you if you see sap.ui.core item, if you
Yeah.
see, if you go to aggregations, you have these items called uh, with, see, without item you can't use the selected item. Okay, if you go
Yeah.
back,
No, question is, should I again put in the metadata header, like you call namespace MVC,
no, 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 no,
namespace
no, no, no.
SAP?
See
No need, right?
where it is association. See, sap.ui.core.
Hmm.
Okay, the
Yeah,
only this is the library, this is the UI element, item is the UI element.
yeah,
Okay, and here sap.m dot is the library, column list item, this is the UI element. Sap.m you have already declared. SAP
correct.
UI.core, if it's not declared, you need to declare. I think SAP UI.core is also, no, SAP.ui.core.mvc we declared. We didn't declare SAP.ui.core. Then you need to declare SAP.ui.core. Okay, if you didn't have. Then we need to come aggregations. Aggregation is nothing but the parent child relationship, as I have already given you the example. Without without page, content doesn't exist. Okay, because content and page has the aggregation, which means the parent child relationship. Okay,
Okay,
if you see here the aggregations, it has the aggregations like suggested columns, custom data, dependent. Suppose if you want to have this custom data, now I'm going and giving see, I if you want to declare some aggregations, then you need to have like this. In the inside it, you need to have this custom data. Custom data, again you need to have one closing. In this, inside it, you need to write. Now you got, now maybe you got the doubt what we need to write, what is custom data actually, that you can have the
maybe a text.
description.
Yeah, text field.
Description, now you want to have the basic, more understanding about it, you can go inside this field. and then you can read and then you can write. Okay.
The custom data, any customer requirement data, maybe a
Not
text
like that.
field.
No. Custom data means apart from those properties, if you want to add anything more than that, maybe that is called a custom data. Okay. And the next one is we have done with aggregations, associations, and the next one is
So
events.
I can create custom data keeping an ID, X number of IDs, right? I can create, correct?
No. Custom data means, see, we can't know what it is. If you go through about this, read the
Mm-hmm.
description, go inside this, then you can understand. Okay, because there are many UI controls. You can't know each and every property. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they give the description, but it's not understandable also. See, a data structure like a map containing arbitrary key value pairs. Okay, means suppose if you want to show some when the user is entering. Suppose if you want to show already some like you want to give suggestions to them. If you enter anything, suppose if I enter anything, it will already show some suggestions in the down by coming as list. Okay, that you can done using custom data. Okay. Now you understood what is custom data?
A drop list, basically.
Means you when you enter, it will show you suggestions. Whatever you give in the custom data, it will show the suggestions to the user while entering.
Clear. Yeah. I think we should
Now,
go through all the
yeah,
libraries.
you need to go through not all. If you go, I'll give you the basic water means what are all the things that you use. Uh, very means every time what you use. What are
Yeah,
all the
useful.
basic
Business.
ones? Huh.
Yeah, yeah.
Means if you develop the 3 or 4 applications, then you will easily grasp.
Frequent usage, correct.
Huh. Okay.
Clear.
Now we have
Yeah.
done with the input and what are the events. Suppose you means when the user when the events will trigger
When there is an action,
when there is any user interaction. If the user has done something on the screen, then
correct. It
events will
triggers the
trigger.
workflow,
Yeah.
correct.
Suppose in the events I have done something live change. Live change means suppose I have by default we have the value Harish here in the field. Suppose user has done something, user has entered an extra value, or user has gone here and entered something. On entering itself, you want to trigger one function that is called method. Okay,
Yep.
live change. Suppose I'll give the live change to here. This input live change equal to on input live change. Okay. Now if you this is the what happens is this function will trigger when you give when you change something in this input. But where you need to write this code, where you need to write this logic. Tell me, Raju, where we need to write.
Controller,
Yes, in main controller, whatever the name for the event that you have given here, you need to copy. Then you need to put comma after on it function, paste it. Then you need to write the value. Now you can write, see, this will automatically trigger. Now I will show how to debug. Where suppose I am writing something, I have declared a variable where abc equal to 10. In the function I am passing the o event means whatever the event that you have done here, it will automatically come here. Okay. Now I'm inspecting console sources. Okay, controller main. See, you can see your code here. This is the developer tool. You have already gone through what is console. Okay,
mhm.
now this is the called sources. In the sources, you have already a controller folder. If you open you have app controller as well, main controller as well. When I open the main controller, you have the code here where you want to trigger your code. So suppose I'm putting the breakpoint here at line number 15. If I change anything, it will automatically trigger this function. Suppose I'm clicking here, it's not triggered. If you enter anything or if you remove anything, it will trigger. Suppose I'm entering K, see, it's automatically triggered. So
Yeah.
it's changing. What is the value here?
Harish
Harish
K.
K. It's automatically showing here. So O event dot get source dot get value. Now I'll get that value. You understood?
Yeah.
Means it will trigger based on the user events. Like this, you have many. Like this submit means when you have when you go here and click enter, that time this function will trigger. But you need to declare them if you want to use. Okay, like this. You have many things. See again,
Submit
you
is a
have the
button, right? Okay.
huh?
Submit also an action. Submit is
Yeah,
a
submit
button
also
bit.
an action. Yeah, when you have here change button, see here when you are entering something, that time it will trigger, that is called live change. But when you are when you have entered completely everything here, and you have come out of it, and when you press something here, that time again one function will trigger, that is called change function. After changing it will trigger, but here while changing it will trigger, that is called live change. You understood?
Yeah.
It will
Live
trigger
means
even it is a keystroke, even if you have deleted something, even if you have copy or pasted something, the in all these cases this live change will trigger. But here the change will trigger after you have modified, after you have done all your changes, and when you are moved out of that UI control, that time this change function will trigger. Okay,
yeah.
it
Yeah.
it will not trigger when you are doing, it will trigger after your work is done. Okay.
Yeah. I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, these are called events. Now you have these methods. Now if you see, I have entered here something, o event dot get source dot get value.
Mm.
Now you don't know, right, why I return get source. See, when I'm going here, o event, I have written get source dot get value. You don't know why I return this. So these are all called methods. Get source is a method, get value is a method. Okay, all these are methods.
So basically, using method, you are getting the content, correct?
Content, yeah. Suppose now you want to get the id, which id of this input. So no, no, you can't get. Suppose you want to get what is the max length of that
Okay.
input. Based on the, you can call this input with this, with its id, what is its id input, and you can get the max length of it. Okay, now what I'll do is, using this dot get view, you need to remember this thing. Okay, this word, by using this dot get view, you can get the UI control reference. How will get the reference? With the help of id.
ID.
What is the id of it? You need to copy
ID input.
and you need to paste it here. Okay, now what I'm doing is, I'm getting what is the max length. We need to see whether whether there is any property to get the max length or not. So what I'll do is, get we need to check in this methods if you have any property. See, get max length, we have one property. Okay, we need to
Yeah.
copy and then you need to paste here, and after that, because this is a method, you need to give this round brackets. It will give you the max length. What is the max length that we have set? 10.
10. Yeah.
10. Okay.
Similarly, we can get width also, correct?
Yeah, you can get anything,
Okay.
whatever the properties that you are defined here, with the help by adding the get before that property, you can get that value. You can get
Yes,
the
got you.
placeholder. Let's see if we can, if we get if we can get the placeholder also. But you, we need to just put the get here. Then see here it is giving error because it will
Yeah,
follow camel case. Camel
that's the right
case.
method. Yeah.
It should be capital. You got the
Okay.
placeholder like this. Now you understood how to
Yes.
use SDK.
Correct.
This is the
Yeah.
exercise now you need to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Introduction to model view, introduction to view and controllers. Okay. We have already seen many times, right? What is view and what is controller. From the starting classes onwards we are learning what is view and what are controllers. Okay.
Correct.
Views and
Yeah.
controllers are the key components in model view controller architecture. We already know these are the important components in our MVC architecture. View is responsible for designing the layout, and controller is responsible for handling user interactions. Okay, you understood this, right?
Yes. Well understood. Yeah.
Hmm.
Controller where you will write the business logic.
Yeah,
You is
and view
basically
is
the pages.
responsible for defining the structure, layout, everything. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. Interpretation. Yeah.
Yeah. Controllers hook methods. By default we have four methods in controller. What are those four methods? Is on init, on before rendering, on after rendering, on exit. Okay, even see, by default you have the on init function, right? If you see any application, by default business application studio has created one first function called on init. See, this is the mostly asked important interview question. What are all the controller hook methods? And they'll ask what is the difference between on init, on before rendering. Okay,
Yeah.
now we'll see what is on init. On init means on initialize. On in means when you load the application for the first time without calling, the first function that gets triggered is on init. Okay,
Yeah.
suppose if I have written something where abc equal to 10. See this if you see the live change, it has triggered based on the user interaction, because user has something done on the input field. That's the reason it has triggered. Otherwise it could not have triggered. Okay, but here the on in it without doing anything it will trigger, because it is the on it function, which is the initialize function on the first on the when you are reloading the application. The first function that gets automatically invoked is the onIt function. Okay, now I'm reloading this application. Now I didn't put the breakpoint, so we can't see. What I'll do is, now I'll put, go to inspect, go to sources. In the controller it's already open, so here I am putting var abc equal to 10. Now I am reloading it. First function it gets automatically triggered. I'll not do anything. Let's see it will gets triggered or not. Okay, see it's got it automatically went to line number 12. I didn't ask it to trigger, and I have didn't done any user interaction. It's
Correct.
automatically triggered because it is the initialize function, means it will initialize whatever you want to do. When on the initial load of the application, you can write in it in on init function. Okay,
Yeah.
and the next function that we have is on before rendering. On before rendering means, suppose the before the view has rendered, suppose you have created the layout. Okay, you have created the layout and you want to reload and before the view has rendered, the function that will get triggered is on before rendering. Means the view you have the many UI elements in the screen, but before loading them, the function that gets automatically triggered is on before rendering. Okay,
Yeah.
after the view is rendered, the function that automatically gets called is on after rendering. Okay,
Okay.
on exit. On exit means in order to perform the cleanup activities. Suppose when you are closing the application, the function that get automatically gets called is on exit. You don't need to do anything. You not suppose you have used any memory, you can remove, you can remove all the, you can clear all the variable values, whatever you want to do you can do by just by using on exit.
So all
Okay.
the runtime values will be cleared.
Yeah. We will see the detailed explanation along with the example in Business Application Studio in our next class. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Meanwhile, we have one more slide. Now, these are the important points which I want to explain you. What now we have already seen how to declare libraries, right? I have shown how to declare the libraries. You remember? Just now I told.
Yes, you take to sap.m.
Yeah, here I have shown, right?
Yeah.
Now we need to understand. See, in here in SAP UI5, we'll always use the camel case.
What is common case?
Camel case means, suppose how will you write, now you want to create a function. So you can write any like anywhere, but what I'm telling is I'm telling the best practice to use the camel case in SAP UI5. Okay. Suppose I'm writing, mm, see, live change. Live change. What is the spelling of live change? Live. C giving gap. Chang change. So here
Uppercase.
we don't need, here we don't need to put gap. Why we have declared all the capitals? So I'm converting all them to small. So I'm live change. Like this we'll write, right? Generally, because
Correct.
we'll do why we'll give here capitals is in order to avoid the confusion. We if you didn't give, we'll treat all this as one word, then we'll read, which will give you a different pronunciation. That's the reason we'll put in the middle capitals, right? But what is the camel case is, the first word that you need to give, it should be always small.
Smaller.
Small. Then for the second word, you can use capital. Even for the third views, third, you can give capital. After the fourth word, you can give capital. Okay.
Yeah.
If you see here, live change, you have the first, for the first word, you have the small letter. From the second word onwards, you have the first letter as capital. Even if you see here, for the first let for the first word, for on you have the
Small.
small. For the second
Yeah.
word, I is the input, and for the third word, L is the capital, and for the fourth word, C is the capital. So in every case you need to use camel case. The name itself suggests if you enter, if you go to Google and enter camel case, see, if you see how a camel looks like. See, it starts with small, and in the once it enters the first word, it becomes capital C, and it's a case. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
reason we call it as a camel case. In any in almost in SAP UI5 you will use camel case only. Even if
One
you
sec.
see here, it they followed the camel case. Get selected item. For the first word, it's G is small, S is capital, and here I is capital. Okay,
Correct.
you need to
Correct.
follow this thing. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll stop the class here, and see, these are all the basic UI elements. Input, text, button, label, checkbox, radio button, date, picker, select and combo box, link, title. Okay, these are all the basic UI elements. If you want to see more about it, you can go open and check. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
This
all
quick
these are
question.
basic.
This declaring library section, if
Hmm.
some maybe few some limitation in the library, so where you come up with your own library, and then
Hmm.
you can write to SAP also that library which you use for
No,
other
no, no, no,
customers.
no, 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 no. You can't use them. You have already, see, you can't use the UI controls, right? See, if you want to use action sheet, it's related to sap.m. You have already this library. What the another custom library that you want to use? You have already these libraries. You can use them. you have sap dot see for almost all this you have these libraries. If you don't have already in your code at the top, you need to declare them. Otherwise you can, if you have already declared, then you can directly write your code here. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And there is no limit for declaring library on the header, correct?
No, you can you can declare how many libraries as you want, but
So
you
where you
can't
are referencing for the library. Yeah.
huh. Okay, you understood, right?
Yes. So you said namespace sap.m. Similarly, namespace XML namespace
No,
equals to SAP UI code
where is namespace here?
XML namespace NS.
Ns xml ns. Okay, this is the library name.
Okay.
Yeah, you can call it namespace. This is the how we are declaring it. XML ns. Okay. Yeah, you have any more doubts, you can ask me.
I'm clear. No problem. Yeah. Let
Okay.
me try.
You need to try. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, Arish.
we'll stop the class here.